from intermission.
How's it going? Are we ready for some more alignment and Zen?
Yeah.
An enthusiastic yes. Okay. Joining us, we're very excited. We have Morgan Yakus here.
Hi,
She
everybody.
is a
Hi, ladies.
Hi.
I've been already talking to you this morning, so I feel like
Yeah, we've already done this,
We've
but
already
like
downloaded,
let's
yeah.
the pomp and circumstance we don't need. But
Yeah.
we do want to let our audience know what it is that you do, and that is you facilitate integrative hypnosis, NLP, and past life regression. I just asked you what NLP was. I forgot. Tell us.
Well, hypnosis is just basically what I do is it's called an active meditation, which is basically a way to go into meditation and sort of make some changes that you want. And with knowing what you want to see or creating different states. NLP is neuro-linguistic psychology, or some people call it programming. It's really the neuro-linguistics of the mind and how to start to move images around that you might be referencing, or audio, because as everybody knows, we're constantly hearing a loop in our mind or seeing something, and it could be something that happened in the morning, it could be something that happened yesterday, and a lot of times that keeps us from getting the things that we want to achieve because we're so focused on those things. So NLP is really a quick way to shift that with very quick techniques.
So much like what Guru Jagat was talking about earlier is we're programmed in our mind, and that is essentially how we move through life is based on past experiences. So what you do, and Steph and I had the pleasure of working with you, is you take us into a meditative state and then kind of go through these different programs in our mind to retell or reprogram it.
Yeah,
rather.
so basically you're changing the neural networks in your mind. All the work that I do is based on neuroscience and neuroscience studies and brain scans and books that people have written in the last 20 years. I mean, now that we can have our brain scanned and they know so much more, they know that we have highways of neural networks in our mind that are creating programs. And these highways start to connect into all the areas of your life. So if something happened when you were a kid, that thing might still be happening now, even though your life is totally different and you want to make a change. And then you're like, why is this thing going? Because the subconscious is running 85% of the time. And so it's constantly, the conscious is taking in information and creating files and then storing it in the subconscious, and the subconscious is running it. So the work that I do, because it's based on neuroscience, it's works with the neural networks of the brain. So basically, we light up the network, whatever that thing is. If you're like, oh, I don't want to see that person today, or you're thinking about it like an ex-boyfriend or ex-partner, that's a network that's going in your brain, and it lights up every time. The idea is that we bring in the new stuff of what you want to do, and you put that onto the old neural network. So it's really, that's how you make changes, is you interrupt yourself and you put new things in.
So you can't prevent yourself from running into someone, but what you can change is the way that you respond to that situation.
Right. That's exactly right.
And I love the way you describe it
yeah.
as like files, like
Yeah.
as though your brain is a computer and you open the file and you normally read it in the same way, but what you do kind of like takes the file out and like
it lights it
makes
up.
a new paper and puts it in. It's like
it puts it on the desktop.
Yeah.
And then you can change the text in there. But it's not like you're like a different person. It's just that you're reframing, you're responding. So if your frame is this big, now your frame becomes as big as this room. It's a lot of times we get into tunnel vision. So we're just looking at this, right? We're looking at like the event that happened, the email, the text, the thing. But then if you say, well, what's everything around this thing that I was looking at? You're gonna like shift the whole space, and then you're gonna be open to something completely different. Even just making a tiny little change or varying your behavior the next time it happens can shift a neural network. So it's really, it's very easy to do. It's just it's a mindful practice.
I want to quickly mention previously, before you did this work, you worked in fashion for over 20 years. That seems very appropriate considering the occasion that brings us here today. Tell us a little bit about what you did before hypnosis.
Well, more recently, I owned a store called Number 6 in New York. We made clog shoes, and we had our own collection. We also had high-end European vintage and emerging European designers, but I also was Lauryn Hill's stylist for her Miss Education tour. I also did a lot of other styling as well, and I did inspiration for designers, so vintage inspiration, a lot of different things. I did PR for Gucci. Worked on runway shows all over Europe. So I did everything I wanted to do, and I'm 43, so I did everything I wanted to do in the 20 years that I was in fashion. And I always knew that I wanted to be in wellness and help people, and it's really nice that everything's starting to merge now. It's really exciting to me because it's like the best of both worlds.
Wellness
fantastic.
is more in fashion than fashion, as the fashion to wellness girls will say, such as
It's
myself.
the new black.
All the bloggers are saying it.
You heard it here.
Yeah. So I was thinking, and tell me if you agree, Elizabeth. I was thinking that we could keep on theme with the new moon manifestation that we were kind of dealing with before the break, and maybe put it out to people. And because I think that in terms of like things that prevent us from being able to call in the things that we need, it's just misinformation of thought.
Yeah.
That we're downloading.
Well, there's this great bumper sticker, which is don't believe every thought you have.
Yes.
Right. So if you think about that during the day as something's happening, you're like, oh my God, that's so ridiculous. Like, I don't have to really believe every thought, because some thoughts are pertaining to years ago when something happened that have nothing to do with what's happening in the moment now. Yeah.
So do you think we should ask people
Yeah.
what's blocking them or what they want?
Well,
Like, how can we open this up to make it
So a couple of people,
group
you
mind?
have a card on your chair and a pen. So if you do, and if you're interested, you could write a question about manifesting or creating something in your life. If there's any questions you have, I can just take a couple questions and answer that. I like to bring it to the group. I think it's better than me just like, blurting a lot of information at you. If you're like, I have this reoccurring, thought pattern and it's just going all the time, or I can't, feel like I want to switch my business and I can't do that, maybe I can just give you some tips, not, and it will be anonymous because we'll just pass them up to the front, but just some brain tips, because I work with the brain. Guru Jagat works also with the brain, but also with an energetic field. So by working with the brain, it opens up the field, and so that's just like a really great way to give you tips for where you're at now, because it's not about where you were or where you're going, it's where you are right now, because that's where the body is, that's where change is. You can't change the future and you can't change the past. You're here in this moment. So every moment is about, you're constantly changing. You're not who you were even a year ago. Your cells are completely different. And because we're telling ourselves the same thing, oh, I'm stressed, I'm worried, I can't do this, it's perpetuating, and that rhythm keeps going. But if you wait 7 seconds, 10 seconds, that thing can start to shift if you think about something else.
And when you talked to us, you talked about how when you shift what's happening in your brain, then you do end up opening your energetic field to be in a more receptive place.
Yeah, well, you experience that day after. A lot of times when I do manifestation, if it's like money and success or different things, intuition, people experience, in things coming from externally. The next day they might get a job, they might have a person call them who they had been thinking about that they wanted to do something with or that they needed closure with. So it's just sort of going the tunnel vision, opening up the Moric field. So where now, if you're thinking tunnel vision, you're just bringing in what's there. So as you're opening that, it becomes energetic and you're opening it wider.
Is anxiety just like an overloaded computer that needs a software update?
Move some files to the trash.
Yeah, is that what it is?
You know what anxiety is? Anxiety is based on things that haven't happened.
Right.
That is essentially a definition of anxiety. So if you're worried about things that haven't happened, you're anxious.
Right.
So when you can start to go into the future, this is part of what I work with clients on. If you can go into the future and create a positive scenario, see yourself going through that thing, see it going well, see the outcome being good, and then working back and saying, what's the first thing that I have to do right now? Because once you go out there, then you can see the state that you need to be in. It's really about knowing what the formula is to be in that place where you want to achieve something. So if it's a work thing, you can say, like, I just need to be resourceful, and I need to be like energetic, and I need to be open, or whatever it might be. And then now bring that that thing into the now. You can even jump into that body, take a deep breath, because that anchors it into the system and into the brain, just kinesthetically. So then you can be so okay. So if I ask you all right now to think about a really beautiful place that you love, like a beach or a forest. Yeah, see, she's already smiling, right? If you think about a place that's special for you, that you've been to or that you want to go to, notice how that might shift the body. Noticing, yeah, people are starting to smile. So, yeah, you closed your eyes. That's great. Yeah. So that's the idea. The idea is that all the states are stored in the brain already. So you can access a state, which is a resourceful state, just by thinking about a mountaintop if you want, or a beach. A lot of people go to the beach. Just by thinking about that, you can be in a resourceful state. And then from there, you can make any decisions. But the manifesting is really about just seeing what it is that you want. And if you're not sure what it is that you want, it's about seeing the state that you want to be in.
So it's more about the emotion or the feeling that the thing that you want evokes than the actual thing that you want.
Right, because then you can be in that state, so you can be open to all possibilities. I mean, really, stress and of the future and all that is the primal brain that it doesn't know what to do. It doesn't know what's going to happen. So when you give it an answer, it will start to relax. It will start to go, oh, okay, now I see that something good is going to happen. And then you can know that there's be changes because things pass through hands or different things happen between now and then. But a lot of people, clients that I have, when they do that, it's pretty close to their outcome when they start to think about how they want things to be, because they're creating that. Then the brain is taking the response and moving into that, because the brain knows what to do. So the last thing I want to say is that every chemical creates a physical response in the body. I'm sorry, every thought that you have creates a chemical which creates a physical response. So if it's a negative thought that you're having or a negative pattern that you're running, your body will start to respond in that way, and it will start to work towards creating negative scenarios. But if you start to think positive things, it will also, you can use that superpower for good and do good things. And by, starting to create, your body will start to follow the image, or and I do this, and this is like a 2-hour class, so I'm giving you a little bit of information. But
I have a question about that future mind way of thinking. Is there, besides the active meditation that you're going to lead us in, is there something that we can do on our own that can quickly help us pivot out of that,
or catch it as it's happening?
Yeah, so you can notice what you're seeing, what audio you're seeing, what audio you're hearing, what visual you're seeing, and then maybe turn it into something else. You can play the opposite game with yourself. So turn it into something else, which would be something that you would want to feel or to happen in that moment.
Because I always find myself getting concerned, knowing the power of thought, and then when your mind goes there, kind of out of your control, and then all of a sudden it's like, fuck, did I just accidentally manifest something that I don't want to have?
No. But you can just as much as you had that thought, you can have another thought right after that. Right.
Okay.
So we're powerful, but we're not that. Right. We're not like.
I love that answer. I'm down with it. Okay.
And also, what is everything I'm not looking at right now? I'm just seeing this thing. What's everything around that?
But instead of, because I feel like I hear what you're saying, you don't want to be fearful of a negative thought. I feel like that sort of creates a snowball.
Well, that's already happening automatically. Anyway.
Right. So then really, do we just look at it as a place where we illuminate something for ourselves, and then, because the tools you gave us, that was kind of what we did.
Yeah.
Or we saw a fear, or we saw something that was holding us back, and then we took a message from it.
So you can just interrupt yourself with anything. It could be a glass of water, it could be a walk, it could be a phone call to a friend, it can be just if you have an animal, spending time with your animal. It could be anything. It could be thinking about that beautiful place that you just thought about. It can be that, because that is all pattern interruption. It's anything that will interrupt you, in that moment. And then you can take a little break for a minute and then put the new thing in that you want. And then that goes onto the neural network.
Pattern interruption.
Sounds
like a fashion
term
to me.
It's your best friend.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Pattern mixing.
We could collect
I'll do it.
these, and then.
If anybody wrote down, you could just.
So, do anybody in the audience consistently practice full moon, new moon rituals? Yes. Yay. Cool. program that way. It's really
By
fun.
the end of this, you will be. No.
You grab a notepad and a buddy.
I'm also not going to be. With all the meditation stuff that I do, it's really about giving you the space to kind of go in somewhere and make the changes that you want to make for you. Because that's the important thing, is the neurolinguistics of your mind, the way that you process information and receive it. That everybody's different because of their set of experiences. Every moment has brought you to now. That's also a nice pattern interruption too, because that really creates like everything from the past. You're like, oh, okay.
Every moment has brought us to this beautiful mansion in Beverly Hills. Think about it. Think about that. Do you want to?
Sorry, I'm just taking a moment. Do you want to look at some of these? Sure. Let me see if there's any that you... I like this one. This is a great question. Have no worries, no attachment. Learn to let go and feel the present, or be in the present. This is something I feel like everybody asks about. The way to do this is through breath. This is a great way to feel your body, to also focus on something that you really love, a happy moment, a happy place. Focus on, so the brain, and this is a longer explanation, but the brain is constantly focusing on something. So if you start to focus on what's new and exciting in the moment, your brain will actually focus on that and will be present. Does that make sense? Because we're not focusing on that because we're somewhere else. So there's so many different techniques. It could be touching your hands, taking a deep breath, putting your feet on the floor, again, walking. It's really also getting to know yourself and what are things that feel good for you? Like starting to listen to your body in that moment and seeing what is something that could shift you, just trying out different techniques or different patterns.
I think this is a really good question, and maybe it is something that we could do with the group.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference between negative thought and being realistic?
Right.
I feel like that's a really big, great question.
Well, it's also asking yourself, is this real? So there's a brain doctor, Dr. Amen, and one of the things that he talks about is that you can actually write down a question, a negative thought, and then you can write down, you can ask yourself, is this real? And in that moment, you might actually say, no, it's not. If you start to look at all the other things in that moment, then you might notice, what are all the pluses? Again, it comes back to, I know I feel like a broken record, but it comes back to what's everything else that you're not seeing. So what are the pluses? What are the pluses of that situation? What are the pluses of that thing? But also sometimes writing that down is a really great way to do that. But also asking yourself, is it real? Why do I feel this way? You can really have a dialogue with that feeling.
I heard something recently which I love, which is like, who are you to decide what's realistic? Like, why are you putting a cap on what's realistic for yourself?
Yeah, because anything's possible. Because we're always creating our reality.
Yeah,
and it's all by the power of thought. And because we're thinking a certain thing, we're moving in that direction that we're thinking about it in.
Okay.
Should we get to the meditation?
Yeah.
Get everyone
Is there
involved.
anything else that you are into in there that you feel?
There's a lot of
This is a really
lot of repetitive. Good. How do you get out of your own head? All of these kind of things. Stress. Really, the things that I've given you, it works for anything. Again, if you think about in this moment a beach scene or a place that you like, if you think about that, or somebody you really love, or something that you love to do, or an animal that you love, right? You can feel the shift in your body just by thinking about that.
How do I find my perfect match for marriage? Failed past relationships.
That might be a longer answer.
Download it.
Talk to me after. I'll help you.
Okay, yeah, let's do a guided meditation.
Okay. Is everyone done meditation here? I know we just did a form of meditation. Really, meditation is just a heightened sense of focus, and there's no right or wrong. So, also what you did before, that's also an active meditation, but it's creating a sense of focus so the brain starts to relax. And just what we're going to do just for the next few minutes is just I'm going to just have you clear out anything that you might be just holding today, and just kind of do a reset. Does that sound good? Just to be present, since present is the thing that's coming up. Okay. I would say, yeah, maybe don't cross your legs, but if your feet are on the floor, that's good. Just so you, because it's really important actually that when you're getting the state that you want, that your body is symmetrical, or your body is starts to become in that state. So if you want to feel relaxed, if you start to put your body into that state, your brain will take the command, and we'll start to do that. Okay, good. All right. Does anybody have any questions about anything in terms of the meditation or anything that we talked about just before we do this? Okay, cool. All right. So I'm going to show you a technique actually that you can use on your own, and it might seem a little bit silly, but it works really fast, and it's sort of essentially like a confusion technique for the brain, so that the brain starts to relax very quickly. So if you pick a spot, maybe sort of like above eye level, so it can be anywhere. And then you pick that spot, and then you just kind of focus in on that spot. And then just take some deep breaths in through your nose. You can let them out through your nose and in through your mouth. And the idea is that you just focus on that spot. Good. And if your eyes want to close, that's the whole idea. And so just breathing in through your nose, and just start to notice, if you're still looking at that spot, just notice peripherally what might be happening. Notice anything without moving your eyes that you can see. And if your eyes want to close, that's okay. That's the whole idea, is to allow the eyes to close. So just start expanding out your awareness. Imagine you can expand out to the edges of the room. Go and see all the secret rooms and doors in this house. Imagine what you might see. How many beautiful shoes and accessories. All the amazing work that people have put to create a fabulous space. And then just noticing your breathing. Maybe expanding out your awareness up and over the house. Imagine you could be floating over the house, over this whole area, over the hills. And just taking a deep breath, and just really letting it go. Taking another couple deep breaths and just letting anything go from the day or the week, the month. Just allowing your eyes to close now. Just feeling the chair underneath you as you're hovering above the house. Maybe you can see in your mind all the way to the ocean, all the way out. Maybe noticing plants and flowers, people or animals. Maybe just really visualizing or feeling that you're up and over. And then just continuing to breathe. And then just flying up and dropping into a beautiful place that you love. Again, it might be that beach or a mountaintop or a garden. Maybe it's a place that you're creating right now in your mind. And then just continuing to breathe. just finding a place to sit or lay down there in that beautiful place. And then as you're sitting or laying down, maybe you can notice how the earth feels underneath you and the air feels. Maybe you can notice the temperature and the sun, how that feels. And then just noticing what you're noticing about that beautiful place. Maybe if you've been there before, what you haven't noticed before. Just allowing yourself to just settle in even deeper. Just bringing in a beautiful colored light in a moment in through the top of your head, which will start to descend over your whole entire body. Allow you to just relax even more. Just being present. This is a present light. It brings you into the now and allows you to change with every moment easily. Being present. And it can be whatever color you like. So just bringing in that beautiful colored light in through the top of your head, down over your forehead and your eyes. Just feeling that relaxation settle in over your nose and your mouth and your cheeks. And if you're holding on to anything in the body, just letting it go. Just relaxing completely. Just bringing that light into the throat, just making more space. What if you could be the most free you've ever felt now? What would that feel like? And just bringing some beautiful space in through the chest, the stomach, down through the arms, the hands, and the fingers, through your legs and your feet and your toes. Just wrapping that beautiful light around your whole entire body as if it were a cocoon. Allowing the conscious mind maybe to just sit on the side and just be an observer. Just bring the subconscious forward or the superconscious mind, that part of you that's beyond words, that's all-knowing, forward now. What is it like when you're all-knowing? If you can think of a moment or a time when you felt like that, or imagine it now, when you can have any answer, be decisive, or when you're really feeling it in your body, when you're just knowing that you're just exactly in the right place. And then just doubling any relaxation that you have, doubling that again. And maybe beyond this place you can see a beautiful pool of water, whether it be a lake or a waterfall. Maybe it's a beautiful, fabulous pool. Maybe it's the one that's here. And then maybe just get in there and swim around. And as you're doing that, just allow yourself to just be present, to let anything go that you've been carrying from today, or anything about how it should be, or what it is you have to do the rest of today, because your mind already knows how to do that. You can trust that you can be here and also be in the future and do all the things that you need to do. And then just getting in there and swimming around, or just clearing for the new moon. And then maybe as you're in there, you can just set an intention once you feel clear for this new moon. What is it like when it's totally clear and you have lots of space in your body? What if you were feeling that now? You're bringing your attention to that space in your body. And then just taking that and spinning that around so that it's bigger and it just envelops you completely. And then as you're clear and you're setting your intention, I'd like for you to see a beautiful costume or an outfit just by the side there. And this represents the new version of you, the version of you that you want to be or that you can be today. And then just stepping into that and taking a deep breath, because it holds all the power of all the things that you want to activate. And then feeling what that feels like in this new version of you. And then just seeing in front of you a future version of you who's manifesting this thing you want to manifest. That you're already doing it, that it's already happening without any effort. Just see it as if you're doing it this week. And then maybe a month from now, what that would be like if you'd been doing it every day. And then seeing now what it would be like if you've done that every day for the next 3 months. What would be happening? Maybe you're just feeling very different, more balanced, more confident, more at ease, more present. And then just flying into that body and getting in there and taking a deep breath. Feeling what that new version of you feels like. The one who's already manifested. The thing that you might want to be doing that's ongoing. And then just notice what you're noticing about that now. And then just bringing that back into the present, into the now. Bringing that feeling back into the body, anchoring that in. Flying up, out, and back into where you are now. Feeling refreshed and renewed now. Feeling more space in the body, more clear. So that now you can do anything you need to do today or this week with ease. With your natural state, knowing how to do everything, trusting your mind, allowing the body to follow. So just taking a deep breath and anchoring that in. And then you can just give yourself a suggestion about how you want to feel and just open your eyes.
Feeling good, feeling fine.
Anybody notice?
Do you have words?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I'm just going to ask if anybody noticed a shift, seeing a different version of themselves. Yeah, you can do that on your own in the morning, even if you just sit for a couple of minutes. You can see that version of yourself that you want to be, fly in there and bring it back. You know, really, meditation or manifestation can be just a few minutes any time of the day. It's just about seeing that thing so that the brain can work towards it and start to become that. So you're just showing it what it needs to do.
Does anyone have any questions post-meditation? How are we? Oh, yeah. Could we get a mic for her, please?
What are the tricks and tips to hold on to this feeling for as long as possible? Because obviously, if you can do it every day, but I can't do it every day all day long and feel this euphoric. So
you're feeling euphoric
now.
now.
I feel fabulous.
Okay. So Good. So, did you see a version of yourself that was doing that thing? So you can just recall that version of yourself, even in the conscious, like even when you're walking around, think about her. And then as soon as you see her now, see, you're even smiling. As soon as you see her, you're gonna smile, and you can start to get into that state. But you can also jump in there, and that's really the fastest way, just by taking things that make you feel good, that make you feel that way. So how does it feel when you think about her? Yeah. Good. Okay, good. Fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, it's a great question.
Anybody else? We're just all just high on our own supply
Yeah.
and are just
Let's keep it that
done.
way.
Let's
Yeah,
just keep it
have
that way.
have a little snack now.
Why mess with greatness? Yeah. All right. Any tips for post meditation, like what we can help to seal the deal?
Yeah, I mean, just a little snack or just moving around or anything like that is great. Just drinking some water.
Hydration.
Yeah,
Hydration
just also
always.
trusting, knowing that your mind actually knows how to do everything. So you know, if you're like, oh God, I'm so relaxed, you don't have to worry about that because your mind will spring into action when it needs to. You'll just be more relaxed.
Wonderful. Do we have anything else? I think we're both
I feel like
a little too zen to talk with a
everything's
microphone
spoken
right
for
now.
itself.
You're never at a loss for words.
Thank you so much, Morgan, and thank you guys for
Thank
being
you.
here
Thank
and
you,
participating
Matches.
and being open.
Thank you so much.
Tell everyone
Yes.
where they can find you on the
Oh.
internet.
Oh yeah, just morganyakus.com, and I have cards here if anybody wants a card. And I do
Wonderful.
lots of workshops around LA and New York. Also be in London doing some things in May. So I'm just moving around. So if you have any questions, feel free to come up and talk to me after. I'm happy to answer anything.
And thanks to everybody again for joining us today. And thank you to Matches
Thank
for
you,
creating
Matches.
such a
Yeah.
wonderful space and celebrating our chakras as one does.
www.that'ssoretrograde.com.
It's so retrograde. I'm Elizabeth Kott. And that's Stephanie Simbari, right? We're pros.
Signing
All right.
out.
Thank you so much.